she said. I'm just going on a date with a guy from work. We're only getting coffee. I said, okay. The next morning, I found a dinner reservation for two at a romantic restaurant and a hotel booking under her name. I filed for divorce before she could tell me it was nothing. Original post. I, 32M, had been with my wife, Corinne, 30F, for 6 years. We'd been married for 3. Corinne was a loan officer at a mid-sized bank in downtown Omaha, Nebraska. I work as an actuary for a regional insurance firm. We had a nice, quiet life. A modest house in the suburbs, a couple of rescue mutts, and a shared love for obscure 80s horror movies. Things were good, or so I thought. A few months ago, Corinne started acting different. It wasn't a sudden shift, just a slow creep of little things. She started locking her phone, which she never used to do. She started staying late at work, citing end-of-quarter crunch, even though it was the middle of February. She started dressing better, wearing that expensive perfume I bought her for our anniversary that she usually saved for special occasions. I'm an actuary. I notice patterns. But I loved her, so I brushed off the anomalies in our data set. Then came the coffee date. It was a Tuesday evening. We were eating takeout Thai food, watching some cheesy slasher flick. Corinne casually mentioned she was going on a coffee date the next day with a new guy at work, Elias. He's new to the city, she said, not meeting my eyes, focusing intently on her pad thai. Just showing him the ropes, you know? He's having a hard time adjusting. We're just getting coffee during our lunch break. Okay, I said. It sounded innocent enough. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? But that night, the anomalies in the pattern started flashing red in my mind. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Elias. I kept thinking about the locked phone. The next morning, Corinne left for work early. She looked amazing. Too amazing for a Wednesday at a bank. After she left, I went into her home office to grab a pen. I saw her laptop sitting on the desk. She'd left it open. She never left it open. I know I shouldn't have looked. I know it was an invasion of privacy. But the actuary in me needed to confirm the data. I wiggled the mouse to wake up the screen. Her email was open. And there it was. Not an email from Elias about coffee. It was an email from the Boiler Room, a very upscale, very romantic steakhouse in the Old Market District. It was a confirmation for a dinner reservation for two that evening at 7:30 p.m. My stomach dropped. I scrolled down. The next email was from the Magnolia Hotel, a boutique hotel a few blocks from the restaurant. It was a booking confirmation for a deluxe king suite for that night. Under her name. Paid for with a credit card I didn't recognize. The data was clear. The conclusion was undeniable. She wasn't getting coffee. She was having an affair. I sat there for a long time, the glow of the screen burning into my retinas. The pain was like a physical blow, a sharp, twisting agony in my chest. I felt like I couldn't breathe. 6 years. Gone. Just like that. But then, the pain started to shift. The crushing weight of betrayal began to solidify into something colder, harder. The actuary in me took over. I needed a plan. I needed to mitigate my losses. And I needed to make sure she understood the cost of her actions. I didn't call her. I didn't confront her. I went to work as usual, but I spent the entire day gathering my own data. I called my lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Vance. I explained the situation. I told her I wanted to file for divorce, and I wanted to do it fast, before Corinne had a chance to spin some web of lies about how it was nothing. Vance moved quickly. We drafted the papers that afternoon. Because we didn't have kids and our assets were relatively straightforward, the process was smoother than I expected. I signed the documents, feeling a strange sense of detachment. The numbers were clear. The equation was solved. Update 1. The trap is set. It had been 3 days since the discovery. 3 days of pretending everything was normal. Corinne had come home late on Wednesday, smelling of steak and expensive wine, and told me a blatant lie about working late. She'd stayed at the hotel, she claimed, because a pipe burst in her office building and she had to stay to help deal with the disaster recovery. The audacity was almost impressive. I nodded, played the concerned husband, and swallowed the bile rising in my throat. Every time I looked at her, I saw Elias. I saw the reservation at the Boiler Room. I saw the King Suite at the Magnolia. The divorce papers were filed on Friday morning. I arranged to have them served to her at work on Monday. But I wanted her to know why. I didn't want a messy confrontation. I wanted a precise, calculated strike. On Sunday evening, while Corinne was in the shower, I went into her purse. I found the burner credit card she'd used for the hotel. I memorized the number. Then, I took the reservation confirmations I'd printed out from her email, the restaurant, and the hotel, and I slipped them into a plain white envelope. I didn't write a note. The documents spoke for themselves. I placed the envelope on the kitchen island, right next to the coffee maker where she'd find it first thing in the morning. Then, I packed a bag, just enough for a few days. I was going to stay with a friend, Mark, who lived across town. When Corinne came out of the shower, I was already heading for the door. "Where are you going?" she asked, wrapping a towel around herself, looking confused. "I have an early meeting across town tomorrow," I lied smoothly. "I'm going to crash at Mark's tonight, so I don't have to deal with traffic in the morning." She looked relieved. "Oh, okay. Drive safe. Love you." "Goodbye, Corinne," I said. It was the truest thing I'd said in days. I drove to Mark's house, my heart pounding a steady, relentless rhythm. The trap was set. Now, I just had to wait for it to spring. Update 2, the fallout. Monday morning. I was sitting at Mark's kitchen table, nursing a cup of black coffee, my phone resting beside it like a dormant explosive. I knew the timeline. She'd wake up around 6:30. She'd make coffee. She'd find the envelope. At 6:45 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Corinne. "Corinne, what is this?" I didn't reply. At 6:50 a.m., another text. "Corinne, answer me. Where did you get this?" I still didn't reply. The silence was my weapon. At 7 a.m., the calls started. One after another, a desperate, frantic barrage. I silenced my phone and watched the screen light up with her name over and over again. The actuary in me analyzed the frequency of the calls, noting the escalating panic in the data points. At 9 a.m., I got a text from Vance, my lawyer. "Vance, papers served. Target acquired." I allowed myself a small, grim smile. The equation was complete. Around noon, I finally answered one of Corinne's calls. "Hello," I said, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. "You bastard," she screamed, her voice shrill and hysterical. "What did you do? You filed for divorce. Over a stupid mistake." "A mistake," I countered, my tone even. "A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. Booking a romantic dinner in a hotel room with a colleague is a calculated decision." "It meant nothing," she sobbed. "It was just a lapse in judgment." I was stressed. He was there. It was just one night. "The data suggests otherwise," I said coldly. "The burner credit card. The locked phone. The lies about working late. The coffee date. That was actually a rehearsal dinner for your new life." "Please," she begged, her voice breaking. "We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I love you." "You love the comfort of our life," I corrected her. "You don't love me. If you did, you wouldn't have done it." I hung up. I blocked her number. I felt a strange sense of liberation. The pain was still there, a dull ache in my chest, but the anger was gone, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. I had taken control of the narrative. I had neutralized the threat. Final update, moving on. It's been 6 months since I left that envelope on the counter. The divorce was finalized a few weeks ago. It was a messy, painful process, but Vance was ruthless, and I walked away with exactly what I wanted. Corinne tried to fight, tried to play the victim, but the evidence was overwhelming. The judge didn't have much sympathy for her lapse in judgment. I kept the house. The market value was high, and I had the financial stability to maintain it. Corinne had to move into a small apartment on the other side of town. The dog stayed with me, of course. They were always more mine anyway. I heard through the grapevine. Omaha is a smaller city than it seems, that things didn't work out with Elias. The thrill of the illicit affair quickly faded when it was exposed to the harsh light of reality. He transferred to another branch a few months later, leaving Corinne alone in her small apartment. I'm doing okay. I'm focusing on work, spending time with the dogs, and slowly rebuilding my life. I haven't started dating again yet. The numbers suggest it's too soon. The risk of repeating a negative pattern is too high, but I'm open to the possibility, eventually. I learned a valuable lesson from Corinne. I learned that trust is a fragile variable in the equation of life, and that even the most seemingly stable systems can crash without warning. But I also learned that I am capable of surviving the crash, of analyzing the damage, and of rebuilding something stronger in its place. Revenge, they say, is a dish best served cold. And as an actuary, I can confirm that a cold, calculated response yields the most satisfying results.